Great. Well, welcome everyone. And I'm so glad that you're able to join us today to look through this and hopefully find some inspiration for some projects around your own home. So we're gonna be going through kind of a high view of different design trends, design styles that there are. And there are definitely some other styles that are subcategories of these. But there's so much to cover and we only have a little bit of time, so we're going to kind of do like an overview of everything. So we're going to go through contemporary design, traditional design, transitional, eclectic, arts and crafts, and then kind of the new modern phenomenon started by Joanna Gaines, the modern industrial farmhouse look. So those are what we're going to look through. So contemporary design, the layouts are usually a little bit more open and airy, not a lot of clutter, clean lines, not overly cluttered with anything, and the colors might be more subdued, or you might have a pop-up color here or there. And contemporary can be confused with modern. Modern is a little bit more stark than what you see in contemporary design. Contemporary is a little bit of a softer version of what modern design is. So these first two pictures, the picture on the left is a kitchen that was done by Schloegel designer model, and Amy was the designer for this.
Amy Brown, I want to clarify, not me.
Amy Brown. And so the contemporary elements that were in this kitchen, which is a kitchen that is in Brookside, which is a more historical area here in Kansas City, but they selected a very sleek vent hood, as well as, I hope you can kind of see, but the backsplash tile behind that vent hood has a wavy texture on it. And also the colors of the white contrasting with the black and the wood elements are also ways to bring in that contemporary style. So, and then the picture on the right, that just shows, the flat panel doors, but it's mixing wood with paint, but also earth materials of the slab backsplash as well. Gives it a very crisp contemporary look. And then the kitchen on the left here was remodeled or designed by Ron, and he's one of the designers with Schloegel. And in this kitchen, they chose all white cabinets, but they have just the flat panel doors. And it's just a really simple, clean looking kitchen, white subway tile, white cabinets, slab doors, and more earthy materials such as the granite countertops and the wood look floor. And then the picture on the right, again, just the wood elements mixed with the natural stone, but everything is just really simple and clean. And then these are two bathrooms that were designed by Kelly, and I believe also, was it Ron too?
Yes, I believe the one on the left also was Ron and Kelly.
And both of these, as you can see, just the slab doors, but you have the dark wood on the left contrasting with kind of a medium wood tone on the right. But you can just see how clean and modern and contemporary the spaces are. And then these are a couple of living room options that we pulled together. The colors here are a little bit more subdued, subtle, but you have more boxy furniture, none of the rolled arms that you would see on some of the sofas. Everything's very tailored and streamlined in both of these spaces. Traditional design, it pulls in classic and timeless elements. You'll see a lot more of darker woods and more ornate details in the woodwork and also the decor, and a lot of printed fabrics. You'll see this in traditional design. So here are a couple of kitchens that were designed by Donna and Gail. And these kitchens have more detail. You can see in the cabinetry with the raised panels on the doors and drawer fronts. The hood styles are a little bit more detailed. They're bringing in detail with the crown moldings. Also, the chandeliers are going to have a little bit more of the crystals and just the curling of the iron on it. And then I love the island that Gail did with that thicker countertop material and just bringing that detail forward on that island top is really pretty. And then her hood as well is more of a focal point and a statement in that kitchen. And then these were a couple inspiration pictures that we found online. Traditional doesn't always mean that it's just wood or white painted cabinets. I like the one on the left because it's bringing in a color, which green has become more popular, I believe, this year. We saw a lot of it at KBIS earlier this year when we were in Vegas. Both the green, the darker green, as well as amethyst colors were very prevalent throughout all of the displays. So the one on the left is incorporating a wood-stained island along with a painted perimeter. And what they've done, which is kind of an ode to some of the older styles, is they've not only painted the cabinetry, but they've painted the wall in between the cabinets so that there's no break, and that color just is on all of the walls there in that kitchen, which is really a cool look. And then on the right, you have a little bit more of a softer look where you're pairing cream and the wood tones together. It's just a softer look, but still traditional. And then these are a couple of traditional bathrooms that were designed by Schloegel. So on the one on the left, you have a freestanding pedestal tub. You have a lot of marble, the white cabinetry, again with the details, and the chandelier. And then on the one on the right, you have a darker wood vanity mixed with wallpaper, and the chandelier also bring more into the traditional style. And then these are a couple of dining rooms to give you some options for traditional styling. The one on the right, the chairs that are around the table and the table itself are very traditional. The rug, all of the decorative draperies, the mirror, the chandelier, that's like true traditional styling there. And then the one on the right, it's not as heavy of a traditional look, but you have the detail in the chandelier, and you have a rug and the artwork as well. The light fixtures all bring in a very traditional look. And then transitional. So transitional styles, it doesn't go all the way to being contemporary, and it doesn't go all the way to being a traditional with all of the heavy ornate details. It's kind of a midway point. And so it will blend both of those styles together. You'll have some decorative elements, but you might have some elements that are a little bit more sleek. So you'll often see a lot of white or neutral colors weaved into transitional, and the furniture lines are a little bit more simple as well. So I will point out the kitchen on the left. You might look at it and you might see modern contemporary elements to it with the dark wood of the cabinetry, the shaker style doors, the stainless steel, and also that dark and light contrast. But the traditional elements that you see in this kitchen are the light fixtures, chairs that are around the table, as well as the hood has more of a softer look to it. And so the blending of those two styles together is what makes this a transitional kitchen. And then to contrast that with the one on the right, we use the backsplash tile as the starting point of inspiration for this kitchen. So the blue and the tile was pulled out in the blue of the island. You can see the legs on the island have a little bit more detail to them. And then the white shaker style cabinetry in the back can lend itself towards, it's got some detail, but it's not completely contemporary. And then the light fixtures as well, blending the different metals of the brass, the black, the faucet is polished nickel. That is how you weave together everything to make it a transitional style.
I love that. Like the beautiful blend of both.
And then here we have a couple more kitchen options. So the one on the left, we have, again, the white perimeter cabinetry. And we're starting to see that not everybody wants white cabinets anymore. And so they're wanting to either blend in a wood island where you're going to get more use of people sitting at the island and kicking it. The wood will be more forgiving than a paint finish. And so a lot of people are choosing to do their island in a stain color. So here we have a mixture of metals with the raw steel and the brass on her her hardware. Cabinet hardware was the aged brass look. And then we have two different countertops of quartz on this one, as well as we're just mixing the woods. You have the floating shelves, the open space beside her sink, and that color is carried through in the floor that goes throughout the remainder of the home. And then you have the white trim that goes throughout the rest of the home is picked up in the cabinets. So we're just weaving everything together through the design in the kitchen. It also picks up on what was in the rest of her home as well. And we'll talk about that a little bit later of how we look at that. And then the kitchen on the right is just a classic white kitchen. We all the cabinetry is in white. We have an inset style of cabinetry where the doors and the frame of the cabinet are flush, and that's what we call an inset style. We have white quartz countertops and a mixture of marble and porcelain tile on her backsplash to create this really classic transitional looking kitchen. Here we have a couple of spaces for mud rooms. So on the left you have like a mud bench situation that you would have in like a mudroom area coming in off of your garage, just a place to put shoes and coats. Here, the style of the doors, the shaker style, just clean and simple, but they're pairing two colors together, which kind of makes it a little bit more of a transitional look. And then the middle is a kind of multi-function space where you have an office area mixed with a laundry room area, and just more simple lines, but yet you have the traditional elements with the light fixtures and the faucet hardware at the sink. And then on the right, you have this really pretty little powder bathroom where they're mixing a fun wallpaper with a kind of more traditional looking vanity cabinet, as well as the lines that go on the backsplash. It's a very traditional look, and the light fixtures. So pairing all that together, it's not necessarily traditional, but the wallpaper makes it more of a transitional look. And then here were two living rooms that we pulled together. Kind of the difference between these and the contemporary ones that you saw, the furniture, even though it still is a little bit more boxy, it seems a little softer looking than the previous ones that we looked at. They're pulling in a lot of natural elements in the chairs you see there on the left with the wicker. On the right, she has a basket next to the couch filled with blankets. It's just more of a soft, clean, inviting room. Lighter colors, the wood beams as well, and the lighter stained wood floors. And I love that fireplace on that last one. I love that kind of like formed concrete mantle. Really pretty.
Yeah, I like that, and also the shape of it. I mean, it's kind of a traditional, but more of a more modern actual shape to it, and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and that artwork above the fireplace is a TV. So you
Things you
can
can
have
do.
the option of having the artwork, or you can have it as a TV. That's cool. Eclectic design. So eclectic design, you're going to see a lot of different elements all together in the same space. And sometimes eclectic design, if you remove all of the furnishings and the accessories out of the space, you would have just a transitional space. It could be that your accessories are what makes it eclectic, your artwork, your furniture, or it could just be the actual space itself, as some of them have more of a very like traditional classic interior, but the way that they've painted it brings in like a modern feel to an otherwise very traditional space. So we'll kind of look through this. So the eclectic style here on the left, what we saw as pulling that together are the pendant lights that are over the island, as well as the wallpaper and the accessories. If you removed those out of this space and replaced them with something else, you could have a more contemporary looking kitchen. If you didn't have the wood top on the island and replace that with stainless steel or a quartz and painted the island a different color, it would completely change the space. But because they've pulled in those elements of the chandeliers and the decorative wallpaper, that's what brings this kitchen to be more eclectic versus contemporary or transitional. And then on the right, we have a mixture of a very traditional lamp, a more transitional, almost modern looking lamp where it's just a frame, and then the elements in the artwork, the mixture of patterns in this area where you have the buffalo check curtains, also the plaid on the couch, and the wallpaper. It's all bringing together a eclectic style to this space. If you removed all of that, it would just be wood stained floors and gray painted walls. So it's really the accessories in this space that made it eclectic. And then the kitchen on the left, we have introduced a pop of red in the chairs around the peninsula in that kitchen. And then as you look into the living space, you have kind of a retro sunburst, I think it's a clock maybe in there. And then also the couch that's in that space mixed with a contemporary lamp. And the fan is also very contemporary. So that space is a mixture of different styles together that work, but make it a very eclectic space. And then the kitchen on the right was just a really neat look with the wallpaper, and then the pattern on the floor, the butcher block countertops, the dark woods. It's just a really neat mixture of materials in the space. And then these two living room areas, if you removed all of the furnishings out of here, you might see one as being more traditional, one as being more modern with that fireplace on the left, but yet her accessories, the mixture of the more traditional chairs with a contemporary sofa, the lamp is very traditional, as well as the table that's next to it. But the TV entertainment center, I would say, looks a little bit more contemporary. So that's just a really neat mixture of pieces in this room. And then on the right, you have two similar styles of chairs, but one is covered in a printed fabric and one is in a solid fabric. And they don't match, but yet in the room they go together. And then the artwork and the accessories that are in the bookcases are what brings this into more of an eclectic feel. And then the picture on the left is probably a true example of eclectic. The room itself has very traditional elements with the dental molding, the heavy dental molding around the room. The marble fireplace mantle is very traditional. And then the artwork is more contemporary. And then they have a pop of the red color, which brings in contemporary modern elements. The bed is kind of I would say it's more along that Danish design. And so that's bringing in a contemporary look as well. But you have a retro kind of Art Deco lamp with it as well. The whole room is eclectic, but it ties together very beautifully. And then the dining room there on the right, you just have a lot of different colors with the pink chairs and the yellow sofa, but the light fixtures, very traditional. And then the floor brings in more of a contemporary feel with the cube design. So this space is very eclectic.
So Nina, what do you think pulls all these together? Because like you said, there's so many different design styles and colors. What makes, but they're beautiful. So what pulls them together? What makes them feel cohesive?
They may have drawn inspiration from some of the artwork that's in the room. I look at the artwork that's over the bed. There you have the warm tones that are reflected in the wall that's opposite it. But it's just a lot of things that probably mean something to the person who's living in the space as well. It's a curated look, things that you gather along as you're just throughout your life that come into the space.
It's cool. Works.
Mm-hmm. And then these were some bathrooms that we say transitional. They could be eclectic as well, but what makes them a little bit more on the eclectic side is the wallpaper that are in each of these bathrooms with the kind of the print and the pattern on it. The one on the right, there are mermaids and octopus and ships all over on that wallpaper, but the vanities themselves are a little bit more contemporary in their style. And then the one in the middle, very traditional looking vanity and light fixtures. And then the one on the far left has a more modern light, a traditional mirror, and a more traditional looking vanity mixed with kind of the fun print of the wallpaper. Arts and crafts. You see a lot of craftsman style homes in our Brookside and Waldo area. These homes were built with a lot of craftsmen that were hand making all of the trim that go into these homes. And so every home is unique. All the trim in them is different, and they just have a beauty to them that we love to work inside these homes and replicate and use the trim. You're going to see more earth-inspired colors, more softer colors in here. Built-in elements, they may have bookcases on either side of the fireplace that are built in. You'll see maybe some benches that are built in different areas, thicker trim that go around the windows and the doors, and crown moldings. And you'll see a lot more oak wood, stained glass in these style of homes. So example of this kitchen, the kitchen that was in this house before was not craftsman, and it didn't fit with the style of home. So we removed all the cabinets out of here, and we had to work around kind of some quirky elements in this kitchen where they had ductwork or chimneys that were running up the corners of the kitchen. So you can kind of see that little bump out there. There's another one on the other side of that room, and it's like a literal brick chimney that goes up through the space that we couldn't remove. Well, we could have removed it, but would have been a lot more cost involved. So we worked around it. So here they went for the inset style. They also liked having the toe kicks that were built around their the bases of all the cabinets. You see there with kind of the little leg look detail. And then they brought in a stained glass element in the cabinet to the right of the kitchen sink window. And then the metal hood, that was a element that they liked. But the trim that's around the opening in between the kitchen and the dining room, we replicated to match the trim that was in the dining room. And then the door frame around the door you see there on the left, we also replicated that and stained it to match their existing trim in the house. So a lot of natural looking materials, the darker countertops, the backsplash is a natural stone, and then just kind of that rich, warm wood that we chose for the cabinets. And this could go more to an arts and crafts style on the left. You have the warm, rich wood mixed with a slate floor, and then also the wood planking on the ceiling could bring this more into an arts and crafts look into a home. And then on the right, you see probably what you would think of more traditionally with arts and crafts, with the oak wood cabinets, darker backsplash material, the soapstone countertops as well, and all the details around the trim. The chairs and the trim and the floor are all the same color, and you'll see that a lot in the craftsman style homes. The picture on the left, what we were showing is an example of if this was in more of a wood stain finish, you would think it to be more arts and crafts. But with it being painted, it kind of takes away from it a little bit, but it still is an arts and crafts look in this home. You have the beadboard back, the shaker style cabinets, even though they're in white paint, then the darker countertops lends itself to an arts and crafts look. And then on the right, again, you see that warm wood, the oak wood, quarter-sawn oak cabinetry. And then on the left was a home that we were able to have, was it on the remodeled homes tour?
It was.
Years ago.
Yes.
Yes. And this is an example where you see those built-ins on either side of the fireplace of being in a craftsman style home. Also the trim around the windows and the radiators that are in some of those older homes that are still working. The detail even on the windows where you have the mullions on the upper portion of the windows is a craftsman look as well. And then on the right, you have a home where all the molding was painted, but it's still a craftsman style home with the thicker trim going around the windows and the crown at the ceiling. And then these are a couple of entryways that are in some of these older homes that we have here in Kansas City. Again, you just see that evidenced in the millwork details. And then the one on the left, if you can see, there's a tile right there that they inlaid in the floor. And that was actually, I believe it was found in the fireplace. And Kelly had that inlaid into the floor in front of the door, and it was a really neat feature that they incorporated there. And then the modern industrial farmhouse. So you'll see more clean contemporary design but you will also see more traditional elements mixed into these. A lot of white with metal and wood and softer like linen fabrics that you'll see a lot of vintage elements, glass, concrete, that'll be paired in with it. So on the left is a kitchen that was done by Kelsey. And here we have a mixture of open shelving, painted cabinets, the blue, mixed with a walnut detail at the kitchen sink cabinet that pull it into almost looking like it's a piece of furniture that's built in with the cabinets in the kitchen. And then subway tile at the backsplash. And then the one on the right, you see more of the white, the wood, the lanterns over the island really pull it into kind of that more modern farmhouse look. The printed tiles that are accented at the range on the left, mixed with, you can see the horizontal shiplap, but it's called tongue and groove at the hood, bring in more of a farmhouse look. You've got painted cabinetry again. Here they've done two-tone colors. And then on the right, you have more of that modern industrial look with the hanging suspended shelving in front of the window and on the wall in this kitchen, which is really a really neat look. And then the pendants that are over the sink kind of give it more of like it was like they were found in a factory. And then in this kitchen, there's a lot of different elements here. We actually have two different islands. One is a working island where you have the sink and the prepping area that are going to be done in the kitchen. And there isn't any seating at this island because it's more of a working island. And then you have the secondary island that is functioning more as their dining table, but you can see that there is some storage built in underneath of it so that they just are getting a little bit more use out of it as an island space. But that's where the family is actually going to gather, sit down, and eat meals. So that's the purpose of that second island table there. They have incorporated a pop of blue into the island and in the bar area. You see the beadboard on the back of the bar, which pulls in more of that farmhouse look. And then just the light cabinets, the light countertops mixed with that medium wood stain really brings in more of a kind of farmhouse feel. The kitchen that's on the left, this was inside of a craftsman home, the ones that we kind of saw before. But as they went into the kitchen, just in the way that they have paired together the colors into this space, it makes it more of a farmhouse look. You have the exposed beam detail up above, and then you have the navy mixed with gray. You can see that craftsman element over peeking through in the window, as well as the mullions that are on the glass doors over on the left there in that bar. So they're pairing together the craftsman details of the home, but with kind of a little bit of a farmhouse look. And then on the right, you have this is more of a neutral, natural looking with the exposed beams. There's kind of a raw wood detail on the hood, the lanterns over the island, just the natural wood island itself with an almost concrete looking countertop, and then the lighter wood on the floor. And then a couple of these dining spaces here, you have the the black chairs mixed with a wood table, a bench seat to sit at in the kitchen, and then the pendants over the island bringing that industrial feel. And it's just a lot of the contrast of the white with gray with wood, and that's what brings together that modern industrial farmhouse look. There should be a railing on those stairs. And that was not one of our projects.
That's one of those things
There should have been a railing. And then the modern industrial farmhouse for the bathroom areas. On the left, you see kind of a distressed wood, lighter medium stained wood that was chosen for the vanities. You know, kind of the gray, the light countertops, and then the dark, almost like matte black finish that was selected for the plumbing fixtures. That brings in that modern industrial feeling into it. Darker hardware, darker light fixtures, and that kind of makes that bathroom lean towards that modern industrial farmhouse look. The one on the right, what gives it away, of course, is more of the shiplap, the matte black on the light fixtures, on their shower enclosure, and light gray, white, and then the natural looking stone. And then in these spaces, again, you see a lot of those details. On the left is the white, the black subway tile mixed with the marble on the floor. The one in the middle, it's got the retro looking sink and bathtub with the white and black pinwheel on the floor. And then we have a really pretty green subway tile that they picked for the back of the shower. And then on the right is a kind of a laundry mudroom bench area. So determining your style, how do you go about doing that? So one of the things that I like to suggest is to start putting together, pulling pictures of things that you like. Sources that I use are Pinterest and House, and on that, even if as I'm scrolling through mine, I am pulling things that I like from contemporary spaces, traditional spaces, transitional spaces, and saving them all on there. And then if you have 140 pictures of kitchens, how do you narrow it down from that? Look through the images and find the common things that you'll start picking up on, that you'll be like, okay, I'm gravitating towards liking white painted cabinets, or why am I looking at these? Do I like the style of the cabinet? Is it a full overlay cabinet? Is it an inset cabinet? Is it a stain cabinet? What colors am I gravitating towards in the cabinetry or the walls? The tile, what does it look like? Is it large format, 12 by 24 tiles, or is it a smaller mosaic tile that you're drawn to? Does it have a pattern on it? Does it look more like stone? You'll start to see that in all the pictures that you're saving. You'll be able to start to find little common threads of the style through those pictures that you like. That will help you kind of narrow it down. And then we also take a look at your home as we go through, and we ask you things like, what are you wanting to save in the space, or what are things that you're not wanting to reuse in the space? Because you may have furniture that was just, they're hand-me-downs from your parents or other family members, and it may not be your style at all, and so we don't want to necessarily design towards that if that's something that you're not going to be keeping. So there might be a couple things that you pick that are artwork, or something that you want to display in a cabinet or a chair, like a piece of furniture or something. And that way we can start looking at what that space needs to feel like for you. And then we from there can build a design based on those pictures and your elements in your home and make it a reflection of you. So determining your style. So these are some before pictures examples of a project where we came in, and as we were sitting and meeting with them, the things that they wanted to incorporate in their new kitchen is they wanted a more open space for gathering for family. Right now it was really chopped up between a separate dining room, a separate kitchen area, a little, you can see that banquet seating area in the kitchen. It was just all really tight, closed off, but she liked the lighter cabinetry that she had in the kitchen. She liked the open shelving that was next to her sink. And you can see kind of the earthy elements that she has in the lamp there with the driftwood on it. So that's kind of leaning towards kind of a coastal feeling. And then you have the lighter colors. And if you could see the rest of the home, this was evident in every room that you were in. You had kind of the mixed metals, you had that raw wood seen kind of in that driftwood, and then just the colors that she was picking was more the light grays, light blues, greens, and it was really bringing us more into feeling like a kind of a coastal look into this space. And then this was another view of that here. So open cabinets, lighter colors, coastal feel, mixed metals. And so from there, we were able to create this kitchen for them. So it just really pulled together the rest of the home, because as we opened up all these walls, now you're looking into their family room area. You're looking down a hallway into a living room area, and you want that to all flow together and feel like it is a part of the home, that there wasn't a disconnect. Like, why do we come in and do this super modern kitchen when the rest of the home doesn't have that feel? And so we just tie together their personality and their style into the kitchen space. And then this was the other view. That artwork was actually painted by the owner's sister. I didn't even see this artwork until after we had done the whole design. But the color of the doors pulls in the colors that are in the artwork, and then just kind of the softer greens and blues. It was really cool how that all came together. And there's another view there, so you can kind of see how you can see into, that's okay, the other living space, and how we needed to really be sure that we were tying that all together.
Definitely has the coastal vibe. It's a transitional coastal kitchen captured.
Mm-hmm. And then in this home, you can see that they have a little bit more of an eclectic taste in their furniture. In the middle, you have traditional chairs, and then they have the artwork that was over the fireplace. That was very important to them, as that was painted of the actual homeowner and her brother when they were younger. And so that was a jumping off point for them for colors as well. And then we just kind of worked through, this was the one that we picked the tile back behind the kitchen backsplash. And from there, we used that as the color inspiration for not only the island, for the cabinetry, and just the rest of the space. And in this one, they had, it was a, as you come into the house, a split level house. So you have like a den, dining room, kitchen, and then a living area, and they're all 4 separate rooms. And as we were talking with them, they just really needed a large open space for gathering for their family and their friends. And so we took down all of the walls and expanded the kitchen over into what had been their dining room area so that they could get more countertop space and more room for appliances. They also had a coffee bar that they wanted to incorporate with a professional espresso machine that needed dedicated amount of space, water lines and everything to it. So you can see how we were incorporating that into the space. They still wanted a place that their family could sit down, but not have necessarily a whole formal dining room, you know, devoted to that space. So we have more of an informal dining table that was then positioned more on the left of the space and moved the kitchen over on the right. And then that tile on the back was the colors that we were using. So we pulled in, this was the computer rendering, and I always say the afterglow looks way better than the computer rendering, but we were trying to give them a feel of what it was going to look like, removing all of those walls between the kitchen, the dining room, and the living area, and how that was going to feel for them. And then after is right here. So backsplash tile, that was our jumping off point. The island, the naval blue island that we pulled in, that was from the tile itself. And then the yellow, she brought in more in her accessories. So the curtains that she did that buffalo check, but in the yellow. We have the brass and the hardware and also the light fixtures, and that's bringing in kind of that more warm yellow tone as well. There you can see the curtains a little bit better.
I like this. I think it sounds funny when I talk. Sorry, it shows the exact view from that rendering, so it's really fun to see like
how it came together.
Yes,
from the computer to reality. Yes. And then the table and the chairs actually around that table, that's the eclectic thing. Can you see that they don't all match? And it's around a round table. So they had 2 chairs and 4 chairs that matched. So that was a really neat detail that she pulled together there at her table.